And welcome back to Memorial Stadium. It's time for 2A state championship football. A couple of 12-1 teams here to play for the 2A state championship game. Morrison taking on KZ Westfield. And Jack McInerney, it's the second verse, same as the first. We talked about usual suspects in that first game. Tuscola and Dakota, a couple of programs that play for a state championship, seems like perennially, or at least they contend for it. Same thing here, KZ Westfield, Morrison. Morrison won the state championship a couple of years ago. KZ Westfield in the state championship game back in 2008. These kids have been brought up in a winning culture.
Well, they really have. There's not much difference between the 1A and today's game as far as the programs, the coaches, and the type of offenses and defenses they run. We're going to see almost a mirror image of what we saw in that first ball game. I just hope it's as good as that first ball game was.
We take a look at the Morrison Mustangs, and they got a couple of running backs pretty equal in yardage. Shaver and McDonald. Shaver over 1,000 yards. McDonald almost at 1,000 yards at 942.
Well, with good scouting, you know that the teams that they're playing against will try and shut them down. It'll be a matter of can they contain them. And in a game like this, you know they've taken you here in 13 ball games. You're going to go back to them for that 14th ball game, which is the big one.
KZ Westfield's defense will be challenged today against the Mustangs, and their defense has been up to the task this year. The men in purple, 7 shutout wins. They only allow 4.5 points per game. I mean, that is a shutdown defense if ever there was.
It really is, and they better have their A game with them today, because you know that it's going to be a game that's got different dimensions to it. It always does when you're on a big stage like this. So a defense could have played well during the regular season, but now is when it really counts. So we'll see if that comes to fruition today.
A couple of teams that are run first, but they throw it enough to make it interesting. So we'll see how things play out here as KZ Westfield takes on Morrison for the 2A state championship game on the IHSA TV network. And welcome back to Memorial Stadium. Morrison taking on KZ Westfield here in our 2A state championship game. Let's take a look at the road to Champaign. First, for the Mustangs, they beat Port Byron Riverdale 32-20 in the opening round of the playoffs. Then Eastland Pearl City 33-12. Beat Newman Kent Central Catholic in a rematch game 15-12 and shut out Stark County 28-0. For KZ Westfield, they beat Johnston City and Carlisle. Then it was a shutout of Williamsville in the quarterfinals and a hard-fought game over perennial power Maroa Forsyth in the semifinals last week to make it here to the state championship game, where it will be two 12-1 teams facing off. The Morrison Mustangs, your 2009 2A state champions, taking on KZ Westfield for the 2A state championship. Jack McInerney and Lee Hall back with you for the kickoff and the play-by-play when we return to Champaign on the IHSA TV network.
We're back in Champaign for the IHSA State Football Championships, brought to you by Country Financial. We're just minutes away from kickoff of the Class 2A State Championship game between Morrison and KZ Westfield. And I just talked with Coach Bielema from the Morrison Mustangs, and he says the key for his team is to play within themselves, not get overwhelmed like we heard Jerry Lano say his Dakota team got early. He also says we've got to limit the penalties. You saw Tuscola in that 1A game get hit hard by penalties. He says play within ourselves, limit the penalties, and we've got a good chance to win this game. Now for more on KZ Westfield, let's toss it over to Sophia Minert.
For KZ Westfield, Coach Keith Sinclair said defensively, we simply cannot afford to over-focus our attention. By that, he meant we can't just commit to stop the run or stop the passing game. He said that we're going to show some defensive switches and that hopefully we'll catch the right things at the right times because they'll hurt you either way. Now, he said offensively, we will have to handle Morrison's frequent blitzes. He was hoping for good pass protection there. And while the winds are calm right now, he said that the short passing game will have to complement the running game because the long ball could be dangerous for both teams. Jack, back up to you.
All right, Aaron and Sophia, thank you very much. It's Morrison to kick off. That's Logan Keel handling the kickoff duties. KZ Westfield will bring it out. That's Colin Carver, and he didn't have very far to go as he's met and brought down at the 12-yard line. Casey will start from deep in their own territory.
It's not the kind of way you want to start in a state championship game with poor field position early, but that's what they have, so they're going to have to make do. We'll see what happens.
This Casey Westfield team 12-1. Their seniors are 48-4. And they've made the Final Four or better in 4 of the last 5 years.
Now both teams have 7 two-way players, so that's a decent matchup when it comes to that. 7 two-way players for both teams.
Keith Husengay, number 11, is their quarterback. He stands in the shotgun, keeps it himself, gets a block, and he's met by a host of Morrison tacklers out near the 20-yard line, mark it at the 19.
Well, there was definitely no threat at all of a pass on that. He tucked it immediately after taking the snap. And that's basically what they do. That from the quarterback position, it's like being an I-back. He just runs the lead, and he'll run belly, and he'll run into traps, those type of things. So that's what they like to do with their quarterback, and they've got a good one to do it with.
Pickup of 6. It's 2nd down and 4. The give is to the up back, big Ryan McHenry.
And he is a big one.
5'11", 230.
Now that might be his initial carry, the first and last of the ball game, because you want to do that for a big blocking fullback to get him in there sometimes and let him get a feel for it. Now he's already out of the ball game.
3rd and 3 for the Warriors.
Spread formation.
Husengay the give is to Dalton Livix. He'll be very close to a 1st down. Dalton Livix is a 6', 195-pound junior.
Good job in a trap right there, kicking out. He just runs right up inside. Left guard Austin Justice kicked out on that trap play. Good job, good play calling, picks up a 1st down. You need to get the jitters out on a big stage like this for the state championship, and especially for high school kids. You know, those first couple plays, the first series where they hit somebody else and they get that out of their system, and then they settle down to earth and know they're just in for a football game.
1st and 10 from the 23. It's Husengay keeping it and met behind the line of scrimmage. That's Mark McDonald with the stop, the outside linebacker, loss of 4.
Now there's no threat when he tucks it away that early, even if he wasn't going to throw it, to keep it, to make it look like a pass or a sprint or an option. But you can see he tucks it immediately, and there's nobody blocking that man. They were outnumbered on the perimeter. Now they average 35 points a game, and on the other side of the coin, the Morrison Mustangs give up 13 points a game. So some interesting matchups. Double tight.
There's the give to Ajay Meeks, the leading rusher for Casey Westfield, his 1st carry, and he's dropped for a loss.
Well, Casey Westfield runs a lot of different defenses from the standpoint of they make a lot of adjustments depending on the formation. They can run a 4-man front up front as far as 4 defensive linemen, or they can go with 5, and sometimes they can go with 3. And it all depends on what kind of a formation that the other team comes out with. And this is what a lot of teams do. They'll make the adjustments by the formation. And an I formation here with double tight.
Husengay back to throw, flushed out of the pocket, throws it away.
You know what happened there? It was a screen play, and the back went the wrong way. The linemen were all set up. They had it wide open, and the back didn't go in the right direction. Take a look right here. The linemen are all ready for the screen right there, but the linebacker takes the screen man, and he was smart enough just to dump it off. Well-designed play, but a better job of defending it on that particular play. And that would have been a big play for them.
Casey will have to punt. Ethan Blankenship averages 33 yards a kick. He'll be kicking into a wind out of the south here on a sunny day in Champaign.
Low snap.
He gets it off. It bounces at the 45, and Morrison will just watch it bounce around there. It'll be down at the 49, so Morrison will get their 1st drive going in KZ Westfield territory after a punt of just 32 into the wind. Corey Bielema's team gets the ball next when we come back on the IHSA TV network. Corey Bielema's Morrison Mustangs get going here on offense for the first time. Morrison up near the Quad Cities. KZ Westfield down in the Effingham area, southeastern Illinois. No score, 8:15 to go here in the first quarter. Lee Hall, Jack McInerney. And Morrison with a running play on first down. That give is to Shaver. He's their leading rusher, 1,034 yards. McDonald not far behind. He rushed for 942 yards this year. He's number 15. Shaver, number 42. Andy Shaver, 6'2", 195, senior.
It's nice to have two backs that have that kind of balance, but the other factor to that is the quarterback has 1,500 yards passing, so that shows real balance out of that offense and in that backfield.
This give is to McDonald around the right side, and he's met after a gain of about a yard or two. Not much there on the right side that time for Morrison. Here's a look at the Morrison offensive line. Harridge, Keel, McDonald, Butt, and Pruis up front. The guys down in the trenches doing the dirty work for Morrison. McDonald, Shaver, Willis, Belt, and Dieter, the skill guys. And that is Danny Dennehy, 6'2", 185-pound senior quarterback. In the shotgun this time.
Man wide open.
A man downfield wide open is Alex Weeks, and down to the 20-yard line. Pickup of 25.
Now what was interesting about that is Dennehy looked him off and then went back to him. He looked like he was going to throw in the flat, which forced the safety to drift over a little bit, but usually that's just a miscue by having him wide open down the middle of the seam there between the safety and the corner. Big pickup there for Morrison.
First and 10 from the 21. Hand off to Shaver. He spins, still on his feet at the 16. Fumble, ball on the ground. Casey says they have it.
So much depends on when the ball came loose. They're giving it to him. Big turnover early. Great effort here, and oftentimes the more effort you have can result in the ball being on the ground. Notice how the ball is coming loose. Right here, he's only got one arm on it, and it's just punched out there. Just a good strip by the defensive back. Once you're in a group like that, you need to put two hands on the football. That's a coaching point, because you're going to get that ball stripped when they stand you up like that.
Sometimes it's better to just take what you got, right?
Yep.
Backs out of the offset eye. Here's Meeks. He's met at the 20-yard line. A pickup of a couple for Ajay Meeks. 5'9", 165-pound junior. He's rushed for 928 yards this season.
The only contrast at this point between our 1A game and this game is the uniforms. The teams run the same offenses and same defenses. One runs the spread, one runs the wing tee and the belly and the wishbone. Same kind of look here, offensively and defensively, except the uniforms are a different color.
It's going to be KZ Westfield playing the role of Dakota.
This is a power I formation now.
And around the left side goes Carver. Not much there for Colin Carver, 6'1", 170-pound senior.
Well defended, just running a counter there after the initial fake, and they had their big right tackle, Austin Schaefer, 235-pounder, 6'3", pulling the trap. But a nice job by the linebackers closing in, Schaefer and Weeks. Those kind of plays are very difficult for linebackers because they get thrown off on the initial flow of the backfield, and then they have to come back against the grain. And usually when they do that, they've got an offensive lineman blocking down on them.
Gay under center, fakes the handoff. Now he's brought down behind the line of scrimmage. Logan Keel, the all-stater, with the sack.
And a big sack early here with excellent field position now for Morrison. Coming out of the power I with the play action fake, you can see he comes untouched right up the middle. And a nice job by Logan Keel, 205-pounder, leading tackler on the ball club.
Loss of 11. KZ Westfield not able to get anything going offensively here in their first 2 drives. And it'll be Ethan Blankenship punting from his own end zone.
Into a strong wind. Morrison's going to get good field position in the middle of the field here, in better than the middle of the field.
Bounces at the 35, and Morrison will just get away from it and takes a nice roll for KZ Westfield.
That's why
into Morrison territory. Punt of 46 with the roll for KZ Westfield. We are scoreless, 4:14 to go here in the first. Morrison takes over at their own 46-yard line. They turned it over last series. Fumbles have been a problem. 32 fumbles this season, 19 of them lost by the Mustangs. Shaver on the carry. Check that, Willis, the carrier. Here's a look at the KZ Westfield defense. Davidson, Bolin, Fisher, and McCown up front. Carver, Livix, another McCown, and Wetherell. Blair, Blankenship, and Husengay, the defensive backs for KZ Westfield. 2nd and 8.
Out of the spread formation, 4 receivers to one side.
Dennehy back to throw, has a man, is Brandon Belt. And he'll be about a yard shy of the first down, looks like.
Nice defensive play, because if he doesn't make that tackle, there's nobody over there with the 4 receivers at the wide side of the field. He was all on an island over there by himself. Makes the play, although they come close to picking up the first down. But if he doesn't make that tackle, you're putting a lot of pressure on a defensive back to make an open field tackle with no help around him.
The scoreboard was wrong. It's 3rd and 1 this time. And here's the give to McDonald. He's around the right side for a first down, brought down inside the 40.
Nice job by the lineman getting out in front of him. Take a look at the lineman pulling right there. Just a nice job of getting out there and making something happen. Matt McDonald, number 52, a 225-pounder, senior. It used to be when linemen were big, they didn't run well. Now the big ones all run well. And if they want to move to the next level, that's what they've got to be able to do. And that's that off-season agility programs.
Dennehy looking deep. Is open is Kyle Husigfeld, the 6'3", 145-pound senior.
That was a great route that he ran. He ran a post route and actually raised his hand up, which threw off the defender. Then he broke it off and came back to the outside. I don't know if we'll see it in here, but just a great job of throwing off the defender just by that visual movement of his arm going up, and then he broke it back outside. Good route, good throw.
27-yard pickup. It's 1st and 10 from the 12 for the Mustangs. They're on the move here. 3:09 to go, first quarter.
It's always nice to have that intangible where the quarterback can help you offensively by throwing the football so you don't have to continually pound it.
McDonald around right side this time. Now down to the 5-yard line.
That initial fake to the fullback is what squeezes the linebackers down inside, and then they give it to the second back on the counter, and that's what happened there. Nice job by McDonald, but a good hole going through there, but part of it was the fullback. The linebacker squeezed on him, and the hole was made basically by itself.
Corey Bielema says he's a power runner with good hands. That's McDonald, number 15, the senior. 2nd and 3 from the 5. They can get a first down, obviously, without getting into the end zone. That's Shaver with the run.
Not too happy with himself. They're losing his footing.
Shaver 1,034 yards, 19 touchdowns, averages 5.5 yards a touch.
And he produces over the 13 games coming in here. He's given them basically 80 yards rushing per game. And it's always nice to have that kind of a consistency by your backs.
KZ takes their first time out of the half as they're looking defensively at 3rd and 1. Check that out. That's how tough this team has been in the first quarter of the season, only allowing 6 first quarter points.
Well, that's first quarter, and throughout a game they only allow just over 4.5 points a game, and they usually score 35 a game, so that gives you an idea of their defense. And then the other side of that coin, the Mustangs and Morrison, they average 33 points a game offensively, and they only give up just under 14 points. So to get into the game, you've got to be able to play good defense.
7 shutout wins this season for KZ Westfield. There you get a look at veteran head coach Keith Sinclair, 23 years, 212 wins at KZ. Been coaching for 27 years. That includes 4 years at Assumption.
And KZ's been in this title game 4 times, which tells you the consistency of their football program.
3rd and 1. Dennehy looking to throw. Diving in the end zone was Willis.
That was not a good
Incomplete.
choice. He forced that football. That could have been a pick. That was not a good choice on his part to make that throw. He'd been better off continuing to follow and run. See the motion out here, right there. 45 just runs what we'd call a jet route right to the corner. At least he threw it away from him and not behind him. Had he thrown it behind him, it could have been picked. There, it's either caught or an incompletion. But there's not a lot of room to operate when you're down on the 1 yard line or the 2 yard line. There's just no field. This plays into the hand of the defense because they have less field to cover.
4th and 1 from the 3. Shaver and McDonald in the backfield.
Quick
pitches to McDonald. He's got all kinds of room, and he's in for the score. Mark McDonald, the 3-yard touchdown run, and Morrison's on the board first.
Well, well-designed play just down there. The defense was in tight inside the tackles, and the play was to get outside quickly. And that's exactly what this play is designed for. He's got a wing back right there, and he's got a tackle pulling in front of him. Just a quick pitch, just a good job cutting back in behind the grain. You can see kind of the interesting extra point setup that they have. They spread the field in case that you don't cover somebody, and they can go for 2.
Andy Shaver's kick is up and good. A little subterfuge in the formation. They come back and kick the standard extra point to make it 7-0. What's the point on that whole thing?
Well, what they want to do is there's times in the ball game where you might need to go for 2. And what they do is they actually scout to see how you go initially, how you defend them. So the scouts that are up in the booth are jotting down exactly how you defended that particular play. So if they need to come back later, they can actually run a play or throw a pass off of that. They can throw to a wingback that's behind it. So it's actually like 2 screens right here. There's a screen to the left, and all you have is a center, and then your kicker, and they're both equal on either side. They have the same amount of linemen and a wingman, so they could throw screens out there, or right here, your quarterback can throw or run with the football. So it has some interest. But nowadays, they're so well scouted, you're not going to catch anybody off balance. But it just does make you think, and it's something else you have to practice.
Always looking for an edge.
Well, that's what you got to do. That's how you get down to the state championship on Thanksgiving weekend. You find an edge at one point or another during the season to get you over the hump.
2:03 to go, first quarter. Morrison strikes first. It's Colin Carver back to receive the kickoff from Andy Shaver.
Good crowd here. Good crowd.
Check that. That's Logan Keel handling the kickoff. Carver steps it outside. It's a big block. Got one man to beat. Oh! Runs out of territory, though. And he is marked out of bounds actually at the 48-yard line. Boy, there was a great block. Matt McCown laid a big block. I don't know if you'll see it, number 54, 43 yards.
You see here, Lee, where he runs up the middle and everybody flows inside. And that hand right there is just enough so he can't tightrope down the sideline.
Did you see that block by Matt McCown coming back?
That was a jar, a helmet chin strap jarrer, we call it. But that reach out by that defender to make that play through his shoulder back a little bit would not allow him to just go balleting down that sideline.
Livix without very far to go there. Chase like that Alexander Volkman with the stop for Morrison.
These kind of games played by two good football teams, field position is so important throughout the game, and oftentimes it's lost on a big play here or there, but the consistency of having good field position or putting your opponent in poor field position is the difference in winning and losing a football game, and in this case a state championship.
That was Chase Elder on the carry, 5'9", 150-pound senior for KZ Westfield. It'll be 2nd and 10 after no gain. And again, it's Elder, and he's very close to a first down, maybe just a yard short.
Just getting tripped up, or those are some 6-point runs right there, just enough to get you tripped up. Just coming right back up inside. You can see the lead right there by the fullback. Does a nice job there, and that was just an arm-saving 6-point tackle there. But 3rd and short. Got our big fullback back up in there. Just follow him and he'll take you to the ball. Except if the quarterback keeps it on the quarterback sneak.
And it'll be a KZ Westfield first down. Huzengay, his 2nd season at quarterback. Carries them to first down yardage there.
He gives you a lot of versatility because what he does is during the 13 games, he gives you about 97 yards a game in passing yardage, and he also gives you about 50 yards a game in running yardage. Now that's a pretty good stat for a quarterback, and that is a big tool to have in your toolbox as far as depth.
Handoffs again to Elder, and he's brought down right about the line of scrimmage. Andrew Volkman in on the top stop there for Morrison.
Nice job by the defense of Morrison. They're taking advantage of, they're spreading them out with their defense by just having usually 3 men down, and then the linebackers fire in the gaps.
We've got 1 quarter in the books. KZ Westfield with the ball driving as Morrison takes a lead to the breaks. 7-0 over the Warriors of KZ Westfield. And a good crowd here for both sides. The KZ Westfield fans clad in purple and gold, rooting on their Warriors, the 85 2A state champions. They were 2nd in 82 and again in 08. And it's Elder getting the carry. He's getting the bulk of the carries here early in this ball game. Chase Elder, 5'9" senior. He had a touchdown in the semifinal win over Maroa Forsyth. There you get a look at him. Not a guy that has gotten a lot of statistics through the year. Take a look at the opening quarter numbers. All in favor of the Mustangs right there.
Well, they're taking advantage of Morrison's defense. There's a lot of bubbles there to run at, and except on that particular play.
Kyle Mers with the tackle for Morrison, the inside linebacker. 6'1", 175-pound junior. He got in there into the KZ Westfield backfield.
They have 3 down defensive linemen, and basically they have 5 linebackers. And what they're doing is, once they determine where the point of attack is, they can all flow to the football because those linemen are tying up the offensive linemen, and the linebackers are free to get to the football.
4th and 3. KZ's going for it. And it's Huzengay not going to get there. Ridden out of bounds short of the first down. It'll be Morrison football.
Great job defensively right there to get to the edge and outrun him with great angles right here. Just a play fake inside off tackle. He was hoping they'd close down, but you can see right down there that was just an outstanding defensive job done by Brandon Neighbor, number 12, coming up from his cornerback spot and running him out of bounds, and wasn't able to pick up the first down. But angles and pursuit are so very important on plays like that.
Like a good neighbor is there. 10:41 to go here, 2nd quarter. Morrison with the lead in the ball.
Reverse.
And a little reverse action there. Willis nowhere to go. Read nicely by the Warriors defensive line.
One of the things that happens, Lee, on a play like that is that reverse happens so fast that there's nowhere for the defenders to go. They haven't moved yet. They haven't started the flow. This is just a counter reverse where they just hand off inside, but as you can see, it happens so quickly that the defenders haven't even moved yet out of their defensive positions to react to the first handoff.
Mustangs with the red and white version of the Michigan Wolverine helmet.
Spreading the field.
Dennehy looking for a man. Flag on the play. And
he's out of bounds.
Husenfeld was out of bounds when he made the catch attempt, and it looks like it'll be holding against Morrison.
Whenever this quarterback scrambles out and there's a bunch of linemen, and for some reason it doesn't look like they were able to get anywhere near the quarterback, in most cases it's going to be a hold.
Holding, offense, 10 yards from the spot of the foul. Repeat, second down.
Matt Greider, Gregory Mullinax, Mike Swick, Jim Wagner, Mike Thornton are officials for our 2A state championship game here.
It's always interesting what an outstanding job that the officials do in these games and all the games throughout the year, but yet everybody takes them for granted.
Can't play without them.
Well, you can't play without them, and part of it is a good crew. You're not focused on them because they make good calls when they need to be made, and they keep the game going. And we're blessed in the state of Illinois.
Pass is complete to Shaver on 2nd and 26. Pick up about 12, make it 13. Keep our statistician Dave Berkson happy. He's doing a nice job for us up here today. Aaron Bennett, Sophia Minute are downstairs. Lee Hall, Jack McInerney up here in the booth. Our great IHSA TV crew joining you from Champaign. 3A and 4A football to follow here today, and 4 more games tomorrow. 3rd and 13 for the Mustangs. Dennehy looks to the near side, has McDonald, and he's ridden out of bounds back about the original line of scrimmage, and it'll bring up 4th down for Morrison.
That's a long pass for a 2-yard gain. When you're thrown from the far hash mark, thrown to the wide side of the field on an out route, that's a dangerous throw just to come up with a yard. I think it's kind of interesting too that Corey Belima, whose distant cousin is the coach at Wisconsin, but basically they have the same kind of colors for the most part, that red.
Badger colors, Wolverines helmets. Ooh, almost blocked.
Good field position coming up here.
Devin Finney almost got a hand on it for KZ Westfield. Shaver shaking his head. He knows he almost got that blocked, and he only kicked it 18 yards into that win. Morrison up 7-0. KZ Westfield's Devin Finney almost comes up with a big play here.
Well, he's being distracted right there. You can see that rusher almost got part of the ball, but he also saw him coming and tried to short leg it a wee bit.
Elder with the carry. Good gain on 1st down.
It's crucial in the offenses that they run here at KZ. That 1st down is a big play. You've got to pick up 3 yards. As we saw in the first ball game with Dakota, with their philosophy of 3-3-4, that's almost the same philosophy that KZ needs also.
Seeing a lot of Chase Elder, number 10. He's a guy that hasn't put up a lot of numbers for this KZ Westfield team, and he's getting a lot of carries here in the early going. Husengate looking deep, has a man. Ethan Blankenship.
Wow.
And he's down at the 2-yard line. Blankenship with the catch.
What a catch, and what a throw.
Only his 14th reception of the year, pickup of 39, Ethan Blankenship, the 6-foot senior.
He threw this long before he was ever open, just a little rollout, and he just throws it up in the air, and he didn't even look like he was going to come anywhere near the football because he's throwing it with a little wind, but he ran right underneath it. Right, not bad coverage whatsoever, but great concentration.
Andrew Volkman was right there. That's just a great catch.
He had a chance to get his feet set there. That's why he got a little something on it. But an outstanding catch. And you talk about hand-eye coordination when he was distracted by the defender, still comes up with the football.
1st and goal from the 1. Husengate keeps it. No signal yet. And He'll be marked just short.
You get these goal line scrums here. Here's just a quarterback. It looked like what he did is he outran his offensive line. And so he basically ran into unblocked defensive linemen that pushed him back. You got to give them a chance to get on somebody.
There you can see there's just not much real estate between the nose of the ball and the end zone.
But ironically, you can see that they're not in a goal line defense. They still have big gaps there. And he found it.
Husengay falls forward. No signal yet. And they're still going to mark him short.
Wow. Up here initially it looked like he found the end zone. I find it kind of interesting that the defensive line here, you can see a lot of people standing up, and his foot must have slipped out from underneath him. He didn't get that drive to get into the end zone. And this is where kind of you need to give it to a back, because he has a 3-yard head start to get some momentum going behind that big offensive line. And it also helps the timing. Quarterback sneaks are not as easy as they seem, because the lineman can't block that well unless they're wedging, which they just did. Now he's got it.
Take 3 works for KZ Westfield. Husengay gets it in there.
He gets in behind that big offensive line, behind that center and the 2 guards, and that's the key to it. You can see they just wedge block and drive him out of there. Sean McGowan, the center, 260. The right guard, Matt McGowan, 245. And the left guard, 255, Austin Justice. You get in behind 3 guys like that, even you, Lee, could score down there.
There's a lot of meat to stop. Heath Husengay, the senior, with his 13th rushing touchdown of the season. Clark Schultz in for the point after to tie this ball game.
Yep.
Snap and hold are good, and so is the extra point. And Heath Husengay on his 3rd attempt from a yard out gets into the end zone, and we are tied 7-all, 6:22 to go here in the second quarter. We're back in Champaign. Game tied 7-all. Morrison the early lead. KZ Westfield has answered now here in the second quarter. We are tied 7-all. 5-play drive, 49 yards. Husengay, the 1-yard touchdown run, his 13th TD rushing of the season. He's got 13 passing as well.
Well, that quarterback sneak paid off after the 3rd attempt, but when you get in behind a big 256-pound offensive line, they should be able to get you a yard, and they certainly did do that. Of course, it took them 3 tries, but sometimes that's what it takes. Field position again on this kickoff will be interesting to see where they come up with the football as it's blown off the tee.
Martin McDonald, Alexander Volkman, Kyle Husingfeld all back for Morrison.
Morrison won the 2A state championship in 2009, and KZ, of course, last year they lost in the quarterfinals, and in 2008 they came in second. So these are 2 programs, not these 2 teams, but these 2 programs are used to being here.
Clark Schultz with the kick. And it's Volkman with the return for Morrison back out to the 30-yard line. That's where the Mustangs will start. 20 yards on the return for Alexander Volkman, 5'9", 135-pound junior.
Don't seem to be getting much distance on these kicks, even though they have the wind. Looks like they're almost getting under the ball.
The wind is out of the south, blowing from right to left as you look at it on your TV screen. Time of possession favoring KZ Westfield, 11.5 minutes to 5.5. Here's McDonald with the carry. He had 121 yards and a touchdown in the semifinal win over Stark County last weekend.
Well, both these teams are teams that have done not a lot in the first quarter. For example, Morrison averaged about 10 points a game in the first quarter, and KZ was about 11 points a game. So they're a little below their averages for first quarter play point-wise.
Give is to Shaver. He's very close to a first down as he's brought down at the 39-yard line on 2nd and 6.
And actually, you know, doing the stats, both teams are real stingy in the first half of play. Morrison gives up about 3 points in the first quarter and only 4 points in the second quarter, so their average is about 7 points in the first half in their prior 13 ball games, which is very impressive. And just about the same for KZ Westfield. So, you know, their first half teams that play really good defense, and with the type of offenses they play, you know, they get on top of the board and they keep you down.
Coach Sinclair, boy, you don't see it often where you got a high school coach who plays on a field named after him.
That's
Sinclair Vidoni Field in KZ.
It tells you something about his longevity and also tells you something about his consistency as far as winning.
Dennehy keeps it himself, and he's across the 50-yard line, still on his feet. Drops it, gets it back.
Only AstroTurf would that happen. Only on AstroTurf.
Almost looked like a dribble. Pickup of 14, but those were 14 very exciting yards. Almost too exciting from Morrison's standpoint.
Well, he did an awful lot of running here for this gain. He's cutting back, coming right into your living room, but the linebackers are just not doing a good job of tackling right here.
Whoop.
And there, out of nowhere, he just drops the football. At first, it looked like he was going to score once he popped past the linebackers, but then he started cutting all over the field. Nice gain, nice first down, though.
1st and 10 from the 46. Dennehy looking downfield, and McDonald appeared to be the intended receiver. He was overthrown on that. It'll bring up 2nd down and 10.
Well, that was a timing route out of the slot, and he got banged around by the corner that was on him when he went to make his cut, and I think that threw the timing off a wee bit. They run a lot of timing routes, whereas after they make that one break, the ball is supposed to be in the air, so they're running underneath it. And that happened on their first drive. Good timing route. Let's see what happens here. 2nd and long.
Gives to McDonald. He cuts back outside, still on his feet, and he might. Now he's going to be knocked out of bounds at the 22. Good recovery by KZ Westfield defensively. Brandon Blair, along with Colin Carver, got down there to force him out of bounds. A pickup of 25.
That's a big run right there, just coming back, cutting again, back against the grain right there. Poor tackle right there should have been made, and that results in a long gainer, and he's shoved out of bounds, and they're on a drive.
McDonald 6.7 yards per carry on the season coming into this ball game.
It's so important to be good tacklers in the open field when you're one-on-one.
Give to McDonald again up the gut. He's brought down after a pickup of about 4, maybe 5 on that one.
It was a nice job of second effort after he's initially hit. He's not that big a back at 170 pounds, but he runs a lot bigger than that. Again, a change in personnel here. When they get into the red zone area, they'll flip up the personnel because they'll make a change in their offensive formations, going with double tight and double splits out of the spread.
2nd and 5.
Oh, an easy 5 yards there, and maybe a first down. That's not what you want.
Matt McCown, one of the McCown brothers on this KZ Westfield team, with a little bit too anxious there.
That really hurts, especially down here in the red zone. You've got to make them earn any yardage they get in the red zone. You can see he's trying to fire in a blitz, and he just gets too deep inside. He's got to be watching the football, and you can see that he knew what he did there. Timing is not good. Down there is those 5 yards are crucial.
2nd and a sliver. Here's the give to Willis. He's on his feet inside the 5, down to the 1-yard line.
Inside counter trap. Nice call, nice run, good execution.
Danny Willis, 5'9" junior, Nice run for him. They'll mark it at the 2. Willis only 323 yards coming into the ball game.
You'll see the trap right there, but the lineman had nobody to trap. Number 75, Ethan Price, pulled, but the lineman he was supposed to trap was already down, but a nice job of cutting underneath him and getting down to the 1-yard line.
First and goal to go.
Power football.
Willis again. What you talking about, Willis? Morrison with a 13-7 lead, and they'll add to it with the extra point.
Power football, that's the whole idea. You get in that wishbone, you get behind a good offensive line, just pound the football up inside, off tackle. Watch your left side of the screen. They block him down, and 2 backs going on 1, and he just follows them into the end zone. Now here again is the setup for the extra point. All balanced off. They see that they defended it well, so they just call it in.
Danny Willis, just his 4th touchdown of the season. Andy Shaver to kick the extra point. It's good. 14-7. Willis gives him a hand from the sideline there. 14-7. Morrison takes the lead here with 3:22 to play in the first half.
This is a good job at the point of attack. You'll watch the lineman on the left side block down, and then both the running backs, they'll kick out on the block. If we take a look at it again, maybe we'll see that later. But it was a good power play down on the goal line. Right here, watch the left top of your screen, blocking down. Then the 2 backs will kick out right there, and then he goes right up inside. Nice job of execution right there by the offensive line as well as the 2 lead backs. And that's the kind of power football you need, a la Woody Hayes down on the goal line, coming out of the wishbone look, or 3 backs. There's all kinds of different terms for it when you're down in the goal line situation. Some people call it the elephant backfield now because you got all power back there. A lot of different terms, but if it can result in that, it doesn't make any difference what the term is as long as there's good execution.
And there you get a good look at Danny Willis.
He needed to be behind those big blockers because he's only a 145-pound junior.
How do you like those polka dot socks, Coach?
Not a big fan of them. Not a big fan. I'm a little more traditional.
I'd have never guessed.
But he got in behind those big offensive linemen. Mitch Butt, left tackle, and Matt McDonald, and they cleared it out for him.
Carver with it for KZ Westfield on the kickoff, still on his feet at the 35.
Oh.
Escapes another tackle to the 45, across the 50. Dennehy with a shoestring tackle attempt, still can't get him. Carver down to the 17-yard line.
Wow, wow.
Colin Carver covering some real estate. It'll go down as 72-yard kickoff return. There are no flags.
And how many times should he have been down initially? Watch right here. If you can only count how many tackles are missed here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cuts back 6. We won't count that guy. 7. Here he goes. Can he outrun him? A little dip inside. 8. Let's not get too far along here. My math isn't real good. The 9th guy finally brings him down. Wow. What a run. He's exhausted. I think he was glad he was tackled.
And here's the give to Elder. They pick up about 4, and that is a Class 2A state championship record for longest kickoff return. Tom Rahill of Decatur St. Teresa set the mark back in 1986 with a kickoff return of just 44 yards, and that was 72 yards for Colin Carver of KZ Westfield.
And I can guarantee you it wasn't that exciting, and those 72 yards were probably about 172 yards when if you took off his shoes and checked the mileage.
You thought the polka dot socks were something. How about the purple mohawk? Elder down to about the 6.
As long as he keeps the helmet on, it doesn't bother me.
Well, this is an interesting development. Chase Elder has gotten the brunt of the carries here. Ajay Meeks, their leading rusher, has only touched the ball once.
Those are things you find out at halftime, whether that's an injury or a decoy, or there could be a lot of reasons for it that we're not privy to.
Elder with his 8th carry.
Again, get back in this ball game here. This is a big drive with 2:10 left on the clock in the second quarter. It's so crucial to go into halftime with a good feeling, especially when you're dealing with high school kids because of momentum. And this is important right here for them to get in going into halftime if they can get back in this ball game and tie it up.
We spend so much time talking about offense, defense, and
right.
Special teams always third, but sometimes it's the difference maker.
Well, it really is. But the other part of that too is there's a lot of psychological things that go into halftime conversations.
Here's Elder again. He doesn't get much that time. Inside the 5-yard line. Pickup of a couple.
Well, this plays right into their particular type of offense that they like to run. Now, granted, they have a big offensive line. It averages 256 pounds. So I got to think that what they did in that first touchdown when they went 3 consecutive quarterback sneaks, that they're going to run in behind it. Of course, now they have their big fullback in the power I.
Here's Elder. Falls into the end zone. Touchdown, KZ Westfield.
The tackle actually took him into the end zone by spinning him around. So they're right back into the ball game. Good momentum going into the second half and into the locker room. So everybody blocking down right here. The big fullback kicking out. A missed tackle right there, and you can see the tackler spun him right into the end zone for 6.
Nowhere to be seen on the stat sheet, but into the end zone is Mr. Chase Elder, 5'9", 150-pound senior, and he has done the brunt of the work so far for the Warriors. 10 carries, 40 yards, and that touchdown. Clark Schultz kick is up, and it is good, and we are tied with 1:25 left here in the second quarter. KZ Westfield, a long kickoff return for Colin Carver, a record-setting kickoff return of 72 yards, sets up the touchdown, and KZ Westfield evens things up.
Well, let's take another look at this touchdown here. And really the tackler's the one that scored it for him by spinning him around, but a good job at the point of attack. You can see right there, good kick out. Missed the cornerback there, poor tackle. And now he just spun around and gets into the end zone with that little extra effort and the spin tackle. Picks up the touchdown. Kind of some interesting hairdos.
Oh, yeah.
Either the barbers are all out of town or...
Yeah. A little spirit on the sideline.
Oh, I guess that's fine. I think it's great.
My alma mater was purple and gold, so it's kind of fun to see those colors. KZ Westfield tying things up here with 1:25 to go.
For some reason, though, you don't strike me as the type of guy that would have dyed his hair, even though I'm sure that you were real loyal to your school.
Very loyal, but
look at that.
Kick into the end zone, be brought out to the 20-yard line.
That's the first kick we've seen in the end zone today, Lee.
Spalding is a former all-boys school, and they played things a little more conservatively. I don't remember a lot of Mohawks.
I went to an all-boys high school myself, and we had crew cuts, and the crew cuts were so short that the next time that I looked like having that same haircut is when I went to Parris Island and joined the Marine Corps. It was the last time I had a haircut just like that. So they didn't get any, I didn't have enough hair to put any dye on it.
Morrison will try to get something going here in the last 1:25 of the half. Dennehy keeps it himself, gain of 6.
There's a lot of plays that have gone on in this first half, Lee, I think that you're aware of too, that look like they were only a step or two away from being busted for a long run. But I don't think either one of these teams have a flat-out burner. I mean, they've got some kids that have good speed, but not great speed.
Dennehy rolls right. Here comes the pressure, and brought down in the backfield is Dennehy by Pat McCown, the 6'4", 285-pound senior who's getting D1 interest from the likes of Indiana, Cincinnati, Indiana State, and Eastern Illinois.
Well, that one will be on his highlight tape. I can guarantee you can see right here how well he moves for a big kid. You'd never dream that he's that big. And yet he takes a good angle and makes a good sheer tackle. And you can see the pressure he puts on him right there.
350-pound bench press, 550-pound squat, and he can do a handstand push-up.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
When you can make that signal with the biceps, if you can do all that stuff.
I'm sure that some people in this booth would have trouble doing a push-up, more or less a handstand push-up.
Anyone or everyone in the...
Well, I don't want to name names.
Since when?
Good stat right there. Yeah, we've got two well-balanced teams here. They're going to be punching it out in this second half. It's going to be a toe-to-toe slugfest. Be interesting to see what adjustments are made during halftime. That doesn't have to be a whole heck of a lot of them, because there haven't been a lot of real errors in the ball game, as we saw in the first ball game when there's some dramatic adjustments that had to be made based on the formation and the skill of the particular quarterback. But in this game, they've both played pretty good defense and seem to know each other well from the tapes and scouting. So I don't think there's going to be a lot of major adjustments. It's just going to see who comes out in the second half and has the momentum or gets on a roll.
29 seconds to go here, first half. Third and 16. KZ Westfield maybe trying to get the ball back one more time here with that timeout. McDonald nowhere to go. He's stopped with 25 seconds left. Keith Sinclair wants to see these Mustangs punt it into the wind.
You never know. Stranger things have happened. That's just good coaching. You know, you hear all the time, you can't take those timeouts in the locker room with you. They don't carry over, so you might as well use them in situations like that. Even if they force them to punt, you know, people say, well, maybe they'll get a good run back. Well, how about the other side of the coin if it's a bad snap? And it goes over. I mean, there's all kinds of different intangibles that come into play when you're doing special teams, and especially with high school players. None of those obvious things are givens with high school teams. And that's not a put down. That's just the fact that they're younger players, and a lot of things go on, and they don't get a lot of time to practice certain parts of the game. There's another good group there. Now,
I think his jersey shrunk.
Is that actually facial hair or?
Yes, I do believe.
Really?
They are wild about their Warriors. 25 seconds to go.
That's what's great about high school football. Seeing that kind of enthusiasm by the community and their fellow classmates. Good snap. Good kick.
Punt is away by Shaver. And the KZ Westfield players will just let it roll. 18 seconds to go. Punt to 36.
Time to put up a bomb, though. He's got room and he's got the arm.
Gaze thrown for 1,200 yards, 13 touchdown passes. Here's the amazing stat: 13 touchdown passes, 1 interception all season out of 121 throws and 13 TDs. That's a pretty good ratio.
It certainly is. And here's an opportunity where they have at least two plays, maybe even 3, to throw the ball down the field.
Gay rolls right, looks, and throws it away.
Thrown in that short side of the field, especially when you're sprinting into it and your receivers are running routes into the short side of the field. You're not going to get a lot done if the ball's not delivered after about your 3rd or 4th step coming out of the snap. Otherwise, you've run out of territory.
12 seconds to go. That play used 6 seconds.
And that's because he didn't just drop straight back and put the ball up in the air.
No timeouts left for KZ Westfield, so they have to use that sideline as an ally here.
Well, he's going in a spread formation here with double slot, so he's going deep.
Carver was there, just out of his reach. Colin Carver, the young man that ran the kickoff back 72 yards to set up the KZ Westfield touchdown.
Well, he's just putting it up for grabs here. There's two receivers going out. He's just laying it up in the middle of the field. It takes a good hit after the throw, but outstanding secondary coverage right here. You can see there's no way in heck. There he is right on top of him. Good job. He was not open by any stretch. The ball's overthrown, which says then, I don't want to throw it short where it's picked off. I'd rather throw it over the top where if he gets it or nobody gets it. Maybe run a draw or a screen here.
One more shot for the Warriors.
It's a screen.
Kind of looked like they were setting up a halfback pass there.
Well, either that or the bubble screen, which I think it was, but you're right, it might have been looking down the field. Sometimes you save those for different situations.
Well, it was worth a shot there for KZ Westfield. Keith Sinclair using the timeouts, forcing Morrison to punt, and getting a couple cracks at it. No pay dirt, but the opportunity was there. Morrison and KZ catching up on the news. 14-all here at halftime in our Class 2A state championship game.
Welcome back to Memorial Stadium here in Champaign, the home of the University of Illinois. We are at halftime of the Class 2A state championship, and KZ Westfield and welcome back to Memorial Stadium here in Champaign. We are at halftime of the Class 2A football state championship. This is the two-day finale of the fall sports season.
All right, Sophia, thank you very much. We are tied here at halftime, 14-all. Morrison and KZ Westfield. Let's take a look at those first half highlights, and it was an interesting first half. Mark McDonald getting the scoring started for Morrison. A 3-yard run, and that made it 7-0. KZ answers. Heath Kusengay with a 1-yard run coming up after the pass to Blankenship. A long pass there setting up the touchdown. Morrison would take another lead. Danny Willis, a 2-yard run, capping a 71-yard drive. And then it was an awesome kickoff return by Colin Carver that set up a 4-yard run by Chase Elder. And that's the scoring from the first half. As we take a look at our first half statistics, it's Morrison with the total yard edge, Jack, but where it counts on the scoreboard, we're even at 14.
Well, oftentimes we know that stats are quite deceiving, and in this case that certainly is the way it comes out. But again, this has been a game of big plays and field position, and then certainly if the second half comes the way that this has, we're going to be in for a very interesting second half. So much depends on field position and special teams, as was shown on the kickoff returns and those type of things. So whoever gets good field position in the second half, and depending on the momentum and what they did at halftime, we could end up with a state championship just based on what went on in the halftime locker room adjustments.
When you go in at halftime and you're tied at 14 and things are going fairly well, how much adjustment do you make?
Well, you don't make a whole heck of a lot of adjustments, but the key part of it is you try to make sure that everybody's aware of how important special teams are and field position, especially in a game like this where both teams are somewhat even. And in the first half, it's been that case so far. So a field position could be a big factor, and cut down on the turnovers. That's a big thing too.
That has been a bugaboo for Morrison earlier this year. We'll see how things play out here in the final half of action in our 2A state championship game. We are tied 14-all here in Champaign. Today's 2A state championship football is brought to you by Country Financial. Here on the IHSA TV network, Lee Hall, Jack McInerney here. We are at halftime of our 2A state championship game. Morrison and KZ Westfield tied 14-all. We've got one state championship in the books already, and it goes to Dakota, a 41-27 winner over Tuscola in today's 1A state championship game. It was Tuscola going on top early. Austin Sexton, the 16-yard touchdown run, lays out a little punishment there. ending a 6-play, 51-yard drive. They were penalized 25 yards on that play, on that drive, but Tuscola scored anyway. Then it was Phil Meyer to Jimmy Knight, 53 yards, and it was 14-0 Tuscola. And we're thinking, hey, it's going to be a long day for Dakota. Instead, it's a long run for Jake Apple. 74 yards on that one-play drive, and that was a play that sparked Dakota for the rest of the afternoon. Apple, a 10-yard run here, and it was Dakota tying things up. Later, another run for Jake Apple, 64 yards around left end. Two-point conversion was good. It was 22-14 Dakota, 22 unanswered points. Oh, but they weren't done. It's Apple again, 49 yards, and one of his 4 touchdowns. He set a record for yardage in any state championship game at any class. Tuscola did not give up, though. Phil Meyer, the 5-yard touchdown run in the 4th quarter to get Tuscola within a touchdown. Then it's Geisman calling his own number for Dakota, and it was the Indians sealing the deal there. 41-27 the final. Dakota wins their 3rd state championship since 2005 under head coach Jerry Lano, a guy who retired after last season because he thought the timing was right. I'm going to retire. I'm going to leave the program in great shape. We've got 9 starters returning on both sides of the football, and they talk him into coming back, and they win the state championship. Aaron Bennett is downstairs with Corey Bielema.
Here with Morrison head coach Corey Bielema. The game tied 14-14. Coach, what'd you tell you guys at halftime?
Well, I told them, you know, it's a state championship game. We're down here 14-14. It's tied. It's going to be a lot of fun. You know, we play these games in our backyards and so forth. We never envisioned it coming down to a big blowout and such. We envisioned it coming down to making big plays at the end of the game, and I think that's what we can do. I like the way we did a lot of things in that half, but a lot of it was fundamentals. Basically just tackling, getting some blocks and staying on them, and I think those are fixable mistakes, and if we can get that done second half, I think good things could happen.
We talked before the game. You said the 2 keys were play within yourself and limit the penalties. In those 2 aspects, were you pleased?
Yeah, very much so. In that sense, so far so good. Like I said, we hold on to the ball, limited in penalties. We have had a couple ones, but we have had some breakdowns, and if we can limit those, hopefully we can have good things happen.
Coach Bielema, thanks a lot. Good luck in the second half. Morrison and KZ Westfield tied 14-14 as we get set for kickoff of the second half.
All right, thank you, Aaron Bennett. 14-all our score here at the half. We'll be back with second half action coming your way from Memorial Stadium on the campus of the University of Illinois when we return on the IHSA TV network. And we're back in Champaign. Colin Carver, one of the guys with the purple Mohawks. And he has one of the biggest plays in this ball game, 72-yard kickoff return that set up a touchdown drive for the Warriors of KZ Westfield, and we're tied at 14. Every little aspect counts in a big game like this.
Well, it was a 72-yard return, but probably about a 156-yard run
Yeah.
to make it that return. But again, field position, special teams, they all come down in a big game like this to make a big difference in the final result. And usually you don't really realize until the ball game is over. You can pick out particular parts of the game or segments of the game where it changed the whole venue for the ball game, as far as a punt return, a kickoff return, a field position made, or a punt not caught and let the ball bounce around. And all of a sudden you're in the hole trying to come out and make an 80-yard drive, and you just don't have that in your tank to get done, and you can't get enough of it. So it'll be interesting. I think it's a very well played football game in the first half. A couple minor adjustments in the second half. We'll see what happens here.
Chase Elder, a guy who really doesn't show up in the stats, 40 yards rushing there in the first half for KZ Westfield. Ajay Meeks just 2 carries, and he's their leading rusher coming in. So it'll be interesting to find out what the story is on that.
Well, it's kept him in a ball game without him carrying the ball or being involved in the offense. He's still, they're still in it, and I'm always interested to see if anything changes, especially it's one thing if a team is down or up or whatever adjustments they make, but when it's a tie ball game, some teams still make adjustments, and I'll be kind of interested to see, if any, what were made.
Clark Schultz, the kickoff, and that one.
His foot,
went into the end zone, so it'll be a touchback.
Touchback. Morrison ball on the 20-yard line.
Once it.
In high school, yeah, the rule in high school is you cannot run it out of the end zone, contrary to college and pro football. And more of a safety factor, but certainly cuts down on the records when you start thinking about how far you can run it back. But I think it's a good rule.
McDonald's foot did go into the end zone, so it'll be 1st and 10 from the 20 for Danny Dennehy and the Mustangs. And the give is to Shaver, and he's out to the 40. Check that, they mark him at the 38-yard line, pickup of 18.
I wonder if they said we haven't given him the ball enough in the first half. They come right back with him and they run it up inside.
Only
you can see just a cutback right there, just a lead play. He does a nice job of getting in between the linebackers right there. A good start to the second half.
He had
Morrison.
13 yards in the first half, 18 yards on that pickup for Andy Shaver. This time the give is to Willis. He had a touchdown in the first half. Bounces off his own lineman, gets out to the 45, and we'll have a holding call that'll bring that back, holding against Morrison.
Wide receiver trying to make a block, and what happened was the defender turned just prior to him attempting that block, and he ended up with a clip here. You might be able to see it at the top of your screen here coming off. Not there, but there it is right there. You can see it almost turned that into a number 1 instead of a number 11. And a lot of these penalties in high school are really effort penalties. I mean, they're trying to do a good job and they just react because they're being competitive and they want to make the block, but it's still a penalty. So that good gainer now is taken back.
The sun's kind of gone away. It's been a beautiful day here temperature-wise. Just a gorgeous day here in Champaign as we play our 2A state championship, 3A and 4A to follow here later today.
Just running a counter there, trying to go backside and maybe pick up the same yardage they lost with the penalty, but it didn't happen.
Rowdy Lathrop with his first carry of the ball game, number 32, a 5'8" senior.
And again,
be a good Cowboy name, Rowdy Lathrop.
Real good name for it. And the other part of that would be to see if Dennehy, the quarterback, who's had good yardage throwing the football through the entire season, over 1,500 yards. He hadn't thrown it that much in this ball game. And of course, now at a spread formation, we'll see how effective he can be.
Shaver is his wingman. He gets the handoff left side across the 40.
Well, they're probably figuring by formation they had him spread out enough that maybe he could outrun the linebackers if they were dropping under coverage, but it didn't happen. Now we've got 3rd and about 7. So they're back in manageable distance here. Now they make personnel changes. For Morrison, they bring in different groups depending on distance and whatever set it's going to be. So they brought in wide receivers here. This will be a spread set.
Pickup of 8 that time for Shaver.
Oh, draw.
The give to McDonald, nothing doing there. KZ Westfield reads it out. Livix on the tackle for KZ Westfield.
That's a draw that's come back into play lately, where it's called a wraparound draw, where the quarterback actually runs past the back and then just wraps it back around underneath. But KZ would have no part of that particular play. They were well schooled. They knew it was long yardage, so they were looking for draw or screen, and the linebacker did a nice job.
Andy Shaver to punt. He averages 35 yards a kick.
Nice kick. Nice kick.
Fielded at the 17 by Carter. He gets out the outside again and has good yardage down the right sideline on another return. He had that big return in the first half and a nice punt return, kick of 40, return of 18. 9:23 to go in the third. We're tied at 14. Back in Champaign, game tied at 14. KZ Westfield, 1st and 10 from the 36. Give is to Elder. He's met at the line of scrimmage and dropped for a loss. Alexander Volkman in on the tackle for Morrison.
Big loss there initially on that particular play. You can see that they're doing a good job of closing down. The linebackers are squeezing up inside, and they're just not having anything to do with the counter fakes or anything. Just a good job of penetration right there. Now they're looking at 2nd and 10. They gave them a good mark by letting them back to the line of scrimmage.
Call it 2nd and 11. Give is to Carver. And he makes a little something happen there.
Nice job defensively of stringing that out till he got help out in the corner, till those linebackers were able to get there. As he gets on the corner, and that's what you don't want to happen, and that cornerback came up and forced the play up inside, and that's exactly how it's supposed to be done. Nice job of coaching right there.
Corey Bielman, his 4th year as head coach at Morrison. Record of 44-6 coming into today's game. 8 minutes plus to go here. 14 all in the 3rd quarter. Huizenga in the shotgun. Low snap. Rolls left. Throws behind Carver. He was open.
Well-designed flood route off the sprint, but he just put a little too much zip on the football and couldn't get it into the middle man. They had a shallow man, middle, and deeper. And just a good job here of putting a little pressure on him to get to the left. You can see he just puts a little more zip, or too much zip on it there for the middle receiver.
A little tall. Brings up 4th and 8.
And it's always difficult for a right-handed quarterback sprinting out to his left to get his shoulders up, turned properly, and to get downfield to be able to throw the ball with good mechanics.
Ethan Blankenship's punt. End over ender.
Got to catch the football.
Takes a KZ Westfield bounce. And this is Willis trying to do something with it. Gets it out to about the 13-yard line.
I wonder how much stats are put on by for punters. They love to punt on the AstroTurf because they get another 15 or 20 yards onto their averages there.
57-yard punt return of 6.
It's so critical to handle punts so you don't lose all that yardage on AstroTurf. So very critical. Now look at the field position here.
Morrison will start from deep in their own territory, their own 13-yard line.
That's a good look at a very dedicated young defensive lineman, Pat McGowan, 6'4", 285.
Give to Shaver over the right side. Oh, he took a heck of a hit. That's Matt McCown with a tough hit. We saw him put a block on somebody on a kickoff return earlier.
He's a tough kid from a tough family.
Yeah.
He's the linebacker coming right here, does a nice job cutting in, and then he bounces it out, but here comes the linebacker right there making a good hit.
Yeah, the McCown is like a law firm. McCown, and McCown. Sean and Matt are twins, and Pat is the guy getting the All-State honors and the D1 interest. Gives to McDonald. Kind of dragged down from behind.
He got the first down. Got out on the edge.
Evan Blankenship with the, or check that it was Zach Murphy grabbing Jersey and bringing him down.
Many years ago, that would have been a touchdown because they had the old rip-away, tear-away jerseys. And he would have left him with a handful of cloth, and he would have been down the sideline. But nowadays, budgets cannot afford those kind of jerseys.
I remember those.
Fullback trap.
It's Shaver, and he's got another first down. Pick up of 14 for Shaver. Had 152 yards and a touchdown in the win over Stark County. Corey Bielema says he's a tweener. He's not afraid of contact. He's not real elusive either, but he knows when to pick the right mode as far as power game or speed.
Well, it's interesting. He didn't carry the ball that much in the first half, but now they've gone back to him in the second half, and he's picked up some nice gainers.
Only 13 yards at halftime. He's got 45 yards here in the second half. This is Willis. He's hit hard after a gain of a couple.
He actually outran his blockers there, got to the point of attack before his pulling lineman got there to help him out. You got to kind of time that up. You don't want to get there too soon. You need to have a little help. There's some gals that add a lot of enthusiasm to the culture of the community and to the high school. They put in a lot of time and effort, and oftentimes go very much unheralded.
2nd and 8. It's Shaver again. He's out to about the 48-yard line.
They're just going right up the middle behind the big center, Harridge and McDonald and Poole. They just want to be very basic and pound the football, and that's what they're doing. Maybe that was the game plan. We talked about subtle adjustments. Maybe that's a subtle adjustment. We're going to run more up between the tackles, get in behind our offensive line, and let Shaver get those pound for those extra yards that we need. Just nickel diamond.
3rd and 3. Here's a give to the right side, McDonald, and he's got a 1st down. Well, that's the interesting thing, Jack, against Stark County. They went into that semifinal with a game plan of throwing the ball a lot. Their run game worked so well, they didn't have to ever throw.
Well, there's a good fake right there to Shaver, and then they give to Mark McDonald coming off tackle, and that's just enough to draw the linebacker inside, and just a good job of a hard-nosed football right there. And again, that's the scheme of that offense. Run the fullback, and then you fake to him and run the counter.
Option looking play there. That's Rowdy Lathrop with the carry, his 2nd carry of the ball game, and he gets down to about the 37, in between the 37-38 yard line.
This is just a belly play where they ride the fullback right here and give it to the 2nd man coming through. He does a nice job there. Poor job of tackling. Good job of hustling the backside coming up to make the tackle.
Pickup of 8. This game is going by rather quickly, especially with all the running here in the 3rd quarter.
Well, for somebody it's going to make a big difference with the score 14-14 right now. Who knows? But on this drive they look awful good.
Corey Bielema likes what he sees. Dennehy keeps it, steps inside a tackler, down to the 20, inside the 20, and he'll be ridden out of bounds. Colin Carter in on the tackle. Pickup of 17 for Danny Dennehy.
Oftentimes you look down at a runner, and Dennehy has made some nice runs, but he seems to want to do a lot of cutting back and forth, whereas if he maybe just doesn't have that great speed. Right there is a nice cut, but he doesn't need to make an extra cut there. He should have just kept going right to the end zone. It allows too many people in pursuit to come up and make the play. But he's done a nice job of getting him out of some tough spots. 185-pound senior.
And not a lot of running numbers this year, but he has done a nice job in this ball game, keeping this drive alive, especially here. Although he's met right at the line that time and dropped for a loss of a couple. Well, Westfield's defensive line stepping up there.
That play was made because of the fact there was great penetration up front by Sam Weatherall right there, number 59. He was blitzing, and he just stuffed that action in the backfield, the quarterback riding the fullback. And number 30, Dalton Wicks there. They just came up and made a nice play, and now we're looking at 2nd and about 13.
There you get a look at the current drive. It's a clock eater, 9 plays, 66 yards.
Just about 3 minutes left in the 3rd quarter here.
Morrison.
And Morrison wants to take a timeout. That'll be their first. They want to get this right. They've invested 4 minutes of clock time on this drive. And the way this game's going, this might be a key play. And we are back. The Morrison crowd into this. They're a team on a drive here, 2nd and 12. Shaver not much doing there. Gets back to the original line of scrimmage. It'll be 3rd and 10.
Wasn't a lot of dynamics of that particular play because the line of scrimmage was somewhat stalemated there. The offensive line of Morrison's been doing a nice job, but it's been actually a better job of running. I mean, they've been stalemating. They haven't been driving the defensive line of KZ off, but the backs have been doing a nice job with second effort. He's wide open, wide open.
And gets it right in his hands. It's Willis with a touchdown.
And that was the first back through off of that fake, and he just slid past the linebackers and got wide open. Great call by the coaches, and just a nice job of execution right there. And that's all off the same action that they've been seeing. They see him repetition, and they let him go. You can see him come right in your screen right there. He goes right past them. Normally he was been a blocker on the other plays. Now he goes right past them, wide open in the end zone, right into your living room.
20-yard touchdown pass from Dennehy to Willis. The point after would make it a 21-14 ball game.
That was a nice job of Willis getting out of there after getting banged around.
Wide right.
How many times have we said, Lee, don't take the extra point for granted in high school football?
Well, you do tend to repeat yourself.
I do, and you'd hate to see this particular play result in the loss in the state championship game, where the other team makes it down the road here, and so that's a tough, especially when the kicker comes off the field and he hasn't been involved. Oftentimes, if the player is a one of your running backs or a defensive back and he's involved in the game, but when they come off cold turkey and have to put one up and kick it, that's a tough play for them.
Take another look at the touchdown. When Dennehy let go of this, it looked from up here like it might be just out of the reach of Willis, but boy, he got right to it and made a nice catch and fired up after he made it.
He just snuck out of the backfield, and of course, being able to sneak out of the backfield at 5'9", 145 pounds is not that difficult. But he did a nice job of getting through there, because they did try to hold him up initially thinking he was a lead blocker. And that's just off that play action. And that was a good call by Coach Belima and his coaching staff, knowing that they were squeezing down those runs off tackle and just let them slide through there. Those are all part of the packages of certain formations and certain runs.
For Willis, it's just his 6th touchdown catch of the year. He's got a touchdown catch and a touchdown run. Onside kick. Did Casey get it?
I don't think.
Matt McCown looked like he pounced on it, and it is Casey Westfield ball. So a little razzle dazzle there from Morrison, a little onside kick attempt.
Well, usually the crowd will give you an anticipation or give you an idea of who got the recovery right here. I'm a little surprised at this, honestly, because it didn't look like it was being set up that well for it, and I don't know why they would try and catch him off guard here, because now they've given him excellent field position.
Although if Colin Carver,
they must have knew
gets
something.
As Elder gets met after a gain of about 1, when you compare it to where the field position after Carver's long touchdown or kickoff return, it's better field position. But you're right, it is a little early, and it does give Casey Westfield a short field, shorter than you would expect on a kickoff.
So many subtle little things happen in special teams, whether it be extra points or kickoff, kick receiving, punt returns, that ultimately, when you look back on the game, make a big difference.
Casey 2nd and 9 from midfield. Huzengay back to throw.
Got him open.
Carver's there. Oh, and it was just behind him. He slowed down, but it was still at his back shoulder, and he couldn't haul it in.
Good throw, good route. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. He just puts it in perfect position right here. Look at this. Great route. Just throws it on his back shoulder. And, of course, it's easy to say he's been able to slow down a step or two, because he certainly had a defender's beat. And that would have been a quick 6. But by that, now you've got those defenders thinking twice about anything coming up to help out on tackles. And that's what's going to happen with Morrison now, that once he's been beat like that, I guarantee he's not going to let anybody get in behind him.
3rd and 9. Huzengay out of the shotgun. He'll roll right, look right. Has Carver. No, picked off. Shaver with the pick.
Good pressure on him. The receivers were not open, and he forced the football, and that's the result of it.
Well, Shaver gets a turnover back. He fumbled in the first half, and he comes up with the interception here.
You can see him again sprinting out. everybody's sliding in that direction. Good job by the linebackers and a good drop right there by the linebackers getting underneath that throw. And he just kind of forced that ball in there. He never saw that linebacker standing there.
Shaver said our defense has come along throughout the year. We haven't made many changes. We've just been playing harder. And a big play there for Shaver with his team up 20-14. Dennehy fake to Shaver, keeps it himself inside the 40 and brought down after gaining a first down is Danny Dennehy, picked up a 13.
Nice job on the option. I don't think he really had any intention of pitching the ball at all. He's just riding that back, and he's just cutting back against the grain and picking up a nice first down. And that's exactly what you want out of your quarterback. You can run the football, get us a first down, but don't turn the ball over.
Well, that's the thing coming into this ball game and talking to Corey Belima earlier in the week. Talking about Dennehy, it was all about his passing game, but he's really shown the ability to run the ball today here for Morrison. Here's the handoff to McDonald. And he picks up about 4 or 5 on first down.
Well, it's interesting. Now, that's the second time he's outrun his offensive lineman who's trying to kick out the defensive end. And he still picks up a couple of yards, but you can see they're a very concerned coach.
We talk about McDonald. We talked game 1 about Jake Apple, state champion wrestler. Well, guess what? Mark McDonald, state champion wrestler at 140 pounds, number 15 for Morrison.
Well, that's where coaches, when they go, they want to recruit within the building, they go right to the wrestling room immediately.
Here's Shaver. He's down inside the 30. Be a yard or so short of the first down.
First place you go is you go into the wrestling room, talk to those kids about coming out for football, and right after that conversation you go right down to the basketball court and start looking for your wide receivers. And the thing is that those kids are great athletes, and if you can convince them that it's going to be more valuable for them to play 2 sports than just one, and a lot of those kids end up being outstanding football players and move on to the next level being football players and not basketball players.
3rd and 1. Willis.
He got it.
Very close.
His initial mark he gave to it.
Well, one of my favorite stories, and he's not an Illinois high school kid from Georgia, but Marcus Pollard, who played high school football, did not play in college, played basketball at Bradley in Peoria, and then went on to play in the NFL.
There's a couple of those stories, not many. And that just takes an outstanding athlete to be able to do that. Here's a concerned Coach Belima hoping they picked up that first down. It's going to be very close.
Just about the width of your wallet.
Right. Here we're coming right back here with the belly play going back. And Danny Willis, in 145 pounds, he just came up short on that 1 yard.
4th and inches when we come back. Corey Bielema and the Morrison Mustangs leading it here 20-14. They've got a 4th and 1 coming up here now.
And this could be a crucial play. And we talk about crucial plays, it seems like a lot. But then after they get that play, then it doesn't mean much. But right here in the 4th quarter, it is.
Shaver to the left side, and he's got it.
Good second effort, good drive right there, good leg drive, 170 pounds. Just good forward lean right here. Watch him just lower that shoulder, drive back the defender, and pick up that first down. That particular effort right there, just by lowering that shoulder, picked up that first down.
Well, you talked about wrestlers and basketball players. Shaver is a pitcher and outfielder for Morrison's baseball team.
Well, see, I wouldn't go there because wrestling and basketball, I'd go there in the spring out to the baseball field to recruit him.
Ah, gotcha.
They're going to run this clock.
Shaver down inside the 25-yard line to the 24.
They'll definitely want to take all 4 downs here in this possession to be able to get down there and score and just keep popping the ball down the field, picking up those first downs and milking that clock. Both these teams are extremely well coached. A good football game right here. They're just playing very sound football. Not a lot of major mistakes, not even a lot of little mistakes.
Here's the pitch to McDonald. Inside the 20, down to about the 19-yard line for McDonald. He had a 75-yard touchdown run against Newman Catholic in the semifinals.
Not a real big back at 170 pounds, but he gets in behind those linemen that run very well and takes advantage of how they block. They kick out, he goes underneath. They log or reach block, and he bounces it outside. So he's been doing a nice job of reading the blocks. And you can set those linemen up by the way you move. You give a little step inside or a little bit with your shoulder, and that'll draw them in or draw them out.
3rd and 3.
Oh, see.
And another jump.
That's the second crucial mistake in situations like this
defense
that they've made.
5-yard penalty, remains 3rd down.
When we were down in the end zone with Morrison going in, and that I think for their first score, we had the same thing. Gave him 5 yards down in the red zone, and that's not what you want to do. We're going to get a timeout here.
Ryan McHenry with the faux pas there. 10-12 to go. KZ Westfield will take timeout. A big defensive stand for them. They want to try and keep Morrison out of the end zone here, trailing by 6. Today's IHSA telecast brought to us by Country Financial. What's your idea of financial security? Aaron Bennett, Sophia Minert downstairs, Lee Hall, Jack McInerney upstairs. 1st and 10 for Morrison, leading by 6. Oh, and great pressure from KZ Westfield, and now a flag at the end of the play.
I didn't see anything unless that could be a face mask, but I didn't see what that could be.
Dennehy escaped the first Warriors defender, but couldn't get out of the grasp the second time.
After the play, personal foul on defense. Half the distance to the goal.
We missed that one somewhere. I don't know if it was piling on, but we'll see if we can take a look at it here. Just a little play action here off the crossbuck. All right, there's 1 missed, 2 missed, 3 missed, pulls them down. Oh, there it is right there. Just a late hit banging in on top of him.
A couple of mental mistakes by the defensive line.
Brady Davidson, I don't think that was as intentional as it might have looked, because he looked like he was possibly pushed into him, because he didn't spear him. They just landed on top of him, but in either case, it's a penalty, and now Morrison's got 2nd and about 8. Be interesting to see what they do here.
Ball at the 13.
Quick pitch, power pitch. Great job.
Willis down inside the 10.
Outstanding defensive plays on the perimeter right there. Coming up to make those plays. Because he really had the edge initially. Excuse me, Lee. He had the edge initially, and then they just closed up. The safety came up hard, and Blankenship right there came up and made a real nice play.
9:15 clock running here in our 4th quarter. The big question for KZ Westfield offensively, where is Ajay Meeks, their leading rusher? 928 yards. He's only had 2 carries all day. Must be an injury or something, because he was in the game. Shaver, nowhere to go. Nice job by the defensive line of the men in black and purple.
Real good penetration right there. They controlled the line of scrimmage on that particular play, and that, when you get down here, this is where it makes a difference as far as, it's not so much the play calling as it is the line of scrimmage. Who's dominating it, offense or defense, and they're going to go for the field goal here.
Andy Shaver with the field goal attempt.
Snap and a hold are crucial.
The 27-yarder with the wind at his back. It's up, away, and good. The 32-yarder, his long field goal of the year, just his 3rd attempt of the season, and that makes it 23-14 with 8:19 left.
It was imperative that they got some points out of that drive, and that penalty certainly made a difference. It got him within field goal range. But that's the way the game is played. You got to take advantage of any kind of break you get, whether it's a fumble, a penalty, an interception.
And oh, what might have been for Casey Westfield.
Right off the shoulder.
Colin Carver wide open.
Right off the 8. Had he put it on the 1. And then, of course, there's a nice job of jumping up and batting that football down. Those are the differences right now in this ball game.
Talk about a game of inches. If he'd have hit Carver's hands and not hit Shaver's hands, we'd have had a tie game.
Or he put the ball on the 1 instead of the 8. And it's touchdown.
Exactly.
We're going to give you visual aids sometimes. 18, high shoulder, low shoulder. I'm sure our fans at home got that immediately.
They're a lot smarter than I am.
Yeah, I'll leave that one untouched.
Ooh, a pop-up. I'm not sure he meant to do that. And recovered by Matt McCown. Boy, he made a great play to catch that.
I don't get that at all unless he took his eye off the ball completely.
That was that looks like you on the tee at
Willowcrest.
Yeah, whatever, pick a golf course.
I just really, that's kind of surprises me. I think he really did take his eye off the ball and just caught it underneath it. I mean, why give this team good field position?
I think the last time they tried to onside kick on purpose. That time, not so much.
Low snap.
Husengay in the shotgun, rolling right. Here comes the defender from the backside. Boy, it's a good thing he got rid of that because McDonald was closing fast.
Another pass that was right on the money that could have been caught that wasn't. Good pressure right here, rolling out. You can see throws a little bit right here. It's right there. Should have been caught.
Livix.
And actually, they might come back if their coaches are up in the booth and notice what happened there. He did a slight roll, and one of the receivers ran opposite of his roll and was wide open for a throwback. So if they spotted that, they might come back with that a little later. But a little later is certainly closing in now with only 8:10 left on the clock. They don't have a lot of later left.
23-14. Here's the give to Carver.
Nice
around
job.
Left side down near midfield. He'll be marked at the 48. Number 10 for Casey Westfield. Check that, number 30 is Dalton Livix, L-I-V-V-I-X. So he's number 30, but his last name in Roman numerals is 72.
I caught on to that early, but I didn't want to say anything. You know who's played an excellent job today defensively is number 15, Mark McDonald. He has just done an outstanding job coming up from his linebacker or corner spot, depending on the coverage, of making some great tackles. You can see right there. I spotted that right off the bat, but I didn't want to be.
So altogether, it's 102.
I didn't want to be distracting to our audience.
Husengay's pass is incomplete. Blankenship was the intended receiver.
I think that was just an ill-conceived route there. He thought he was going to throw it in, and he ran it out.
7:20 to go. Coach Sinclair looking for some answers here. Husengay just 1 of 9 today.
That is not something you expect out of a quarterback.
And that surprises me. I didn't realize. Oh, they fake it. And wide open is Danny Dennehy. Well, how about a little razzle-dazzle from Coach Sinclair?
Well, they needed that. There's no doubt about it.
Husengay, rather, with the catch.
With 7:15 left on the clock. It was something that you should have been playing a little looser here, realizing that nobody actually was up on him at all. In fact, I think they lost track of him even being involved in the ball game, because that was a fake all the way.
Blankenship to Husengay.
He came off the field and then he walked out of the huddle towards the sideline and then just stayed 1 yard inside it.
Coach Sinclair not out of tricks up his sleeve in this one. Gain of 1 there for Elder.
And the longer you've been in the game, the more tricks you have up your sleeve.
20-yard line.
Now that play actually worked because he was in the huddle and then went off. Had he not been in the huddle, then you have to be within 10 yards of the huddle, or he would have been an illegal substitution.
2nd and 9. Husengate keeps it himself, dragged down from behind by Kyle Murs. Let's go downstairs to Sophia Minert.
Lee and Jack, you were wondering why Ajay Meeks has not been more involved in this game. He re-aggravated an ankle injury. It's an injury he suffered last year. It's bothered him throughout the season. Re-aggravated it earlier in this game. They would not say much more other than to say he is likely done for the remainder of the game.
All right, Sophia, thank you very much. Well, that explains that. Ajay actually did miss the playoffs last year with an injury. So a little short-handed for the Warriors as they try to come back here in the waning moments. Husengate running for his life. He outran one Mustang. He outran Logan Keel, but McDonald was there to track him down.
Matt McDonald, he's 170 pounds, but he's running. He's putting the pressure on. Doesn't allow him at all. You can see that right here, he's just coming off the edge, and they never allow him to get his shoulders turned up to even throw the ball. And that's the kind of pressure you want when a quarterback is trying to get out on the edge to run a sprint out or a roll out. Put the pressure on him and just make him run for his life.
4th and 14. It looks like they're going to try a field goal here, and this is going to be
into the wind.
A tough chance here. 48-yarder into the wind.
Unless it's a trick play up a sleeve. It went about 38.
It's well short for Clark Schultz. Pretty tough try there. 5:43 to go. It's Morrison with a 9-point lead in the 2A state championship game. .543 away from a state championship. Morrison and Corey Bielema holding on to a 23-14 lead. Ajay Meeks can only stand and watch on the sideline for KZ Westfield. 928 yards, 10 touchdowns. They have missed him today. And here's the give to McDonald with the clock rolling.
Well, now we got a flag. A little extracurricular activity going on between a wideout and a defensive back.
Not something you want to see anytime, but particularly
and it's hard
now.
to figure out here now in a play like that. They were both kind of going at it. They were just locked up with each other. Who's going to get the flag? This might be one that they wave off, give one to one, one to the other, and it's negated. But there is some conversation. Reminds me of being at home. My mom and dad figuring out who did it and who's going to get in trouble. Like the look at this.
Let's send them both to their rooms.
Right.
Let them sort it out.
Well, this has been an outstanding crew today. Done a great job. And what I like about stuff like this is the fact that the kids play right up until the final buzzer, and so do the officials. You know, oftentimes you hear that term, let them play. That drives me up a wall. If there's rules and regulations, then enforce them. And I don't care what the score is or how much time is left on the clock. That's what their job is, and they need to do it. And I think this is a perfect example of that. They're out there to officiate the football game. Doesn't make a difference about the score.
Two fouls on the play. After the play, we have dead ball, a personal foul on White. That will be enforced half the distance to the goal. Then we have a dead ball, personal foul on Casey. That will be enforced 15 yards after the play. Second.
So basically, the ball stays where it's at. They'll mark off and then mark back. And there's a lot of marking going on, but
Right, half the distance is 10 yards.
All right, and
then coming back is 15, so it's +5 for Morrison.
Right. Well, that's why they were discussing the call, and they're doing their job by doing that. I think that's
if the penalty happens at the 25 or 50, it's offsetting.
Right, exactly. And that's initially what I thought it was, but give these officials a lot of credit for doing an outstanding job, as usual.
(23-14) Morrison, a 9-point lead here.
He's looking at that clock, run it all the way down.
Gives to Shaver. He carries 2 or 3 tacklers across the 30 to the 32 and a first down. Pick up a 7.
Well, they're going to just pound this ball right like that. It's just a lead. You saw that back leading up, and the linemen just get in a push, and it's like a scrum, and they want that clock to run. And when the quarterback comes up, they're huddling, and then they go up to the line of scrimmage. That quarterback will watch the clock that's in the end zone and let it go all the way down before he snaps the football. For example, right now there's 10 seconds left on it. He'll come up to the line of scrimmage. He's looking up at the clock that's at the end of the stadium, and he's going to snap it.
McDonald to the 35, across to the 36-yard line.
He's been a workhorse all day long. Not a big workhorse, but kind of like a Shetland pony at 170 pounds. But he's a tough workhorse. And they've gone to him as the offset to Shaver. And we mentioned this in the open, that it's nice to have a couple of backs that give you alternatives. Both running backs have good stats, and then the quarterback also has good throwing stats. So the versatility that's there is something that's always appreciated by a coach.
Morrison rushing. McDonald 85 yards, Shaver 84 yards, and total offense, telling numbers, 320 to 102 in favor of Morrison.
That's a nice balance between those 2 running backs that's good to have. And really, the quarterback, Dennehy, has done more running than throwing, and that's not been his forte through the previous 13 ball games. 7
rushes for 26 yards, 94 yards passing. 3rd and 3, 3:34 to play.
He's letting that clock run down to under 5.
Is that Lathrop? It is. And he's to midfield for another first down. Rowdy Lathrop, a pickup of 10.
Nice job of execution, not only by the running back, but the offensive line. You can see the job that they do right there. He just lowers his shoulder, and they're trying to take advantage of the clock to get it running. Nice job up front by the offensive line of Mitch Butt, Matt McDonald, Calvin Hardridge, Logan Kuehl, and Ethan Price, doing a nice job of controlling that line of scrimmage.
Logan Kuehl, a 3-year starter up front for Morrison. He played in the state championship game in '09, as did Dennehy, the quarterback. Shaver picks up a couple of tough yards with the clock rolling.
Both crowds on both sides of the field are quiet right now. I think that they see the imminent result of what's going to happen here with 2:40 left, and Morrison is just milking that clock for every bit that it's worth. Good ball game played by both football teams. And in order to get here, you've got to really play consistently throughout the entire year, and they both had great seasons. Both came in here at 12-1.
Shaver again. He's down close to another first down. I think the impressive thing today, Jack, about Morrison is they've taken what the defense has given them. You know, they do throw the ball a lot, but they found success with the running game and stuck with it. You pointed that out in the 3rd quarter.
Well, for them, they want to control the clock, so why put the ball up in the air? Because normally when you do that, the clock is not your friend. But when you're running the football and doing it well behind a good offensive line, then that's all you need to do. That's got to be your coaching game plan. We'll run the clock. We've got a good offensive line. We've got 2 good backs. Let's do it.
3rd and 1 for the Mustangs. Shaver, first down yardage. That'll keep the clock rolling. Once they reset the chains, 1:32 to play, and the Morrison fans underneath us are starting to sense what's afoot here.
And this is when you look at a shot like that, when you say how disappointing it must be for a team that's had a great season to get to the state championship, and they just can't get over that final hurdle. On the other hand, here you're looking at the Morrison people that are very, very excited. There's a a group of young men right there that'll remember this next week for what it really was, being in the state championship game.
McDonald close to the 30, draw it down about the 32-yard line.
Well, one of those things that the coaches talk to the players about, you know, they each had one loss, but the coaches always tell them that one loss was in the beginning of the year. Let's finish the season without a loss in that big game. And obviously there's only one team that's going to be able to do that, and right now it looks like it's going to be Morrison. But the Warriors from KZ Westfield have had a great season.
They lost to Marshall in week 7.
There's the victory formation we talked about in the first game. Every coach's dream to be in that formation, not only at the end of just a regular game, but it's really the dream to be in that formation in the state championship game.
Morrison's only loss came to Sterling Newman in week 3. They avenged that loss in the semifinal and win a state championship, the second for Corey Bielema. State champs in 2009 at 14-0. State champs in 2011 at 13-1. And you feel for the young men in purple and black down there, and for Coach Sinclair, but what a year they've had. Their second state trophy since 2008. But the Morrison Mustangs come out of here with the victory, 23-14. Very balanced attack. 100 yards for Andy Shaver, 91 yards on the ground for Mark McDonald. Dennehy 25 yards on the ground, 94 yards passing. He was 8 of 6. Just really a good balanced attack by Morrison.
Well,
not one guy stands out as a team effort.
Exactly, and oftentimes you'll look down the road at other teams that might have one outstanding football player. Rarely does that team, and that's the key concept there, team get down to the big dance, because so many teams can close off that one outstanding player. You've got to have some balance. Both these teams had balance, and it just turned out today that Morris's balance was clicking more. And that's a major difference to get to the state championship game. And you want to play well in this game. And it's so nice when the versatility of your offense comes to fruition.
Morrison, your 2A state champs, 23-14. KZ Westfield takes home the second place trophy. KZ Westfield finishes 12-2. The Morrison Mustangs 13-1, your Class 2A state champions.
Love to look at those kids, at the excitement right there.
We're about to crown our second state champion of the day. It goes to the Morrison Mustangs in Class 2A with a 23-14 win over KZ Westfield. Let's watch now as the KZ Westfield Warriors receive their state runner-up trophy.
Westfield finished the season with a final record of 12 wins and 2 losses. Next will Superintendent Sue Ellen Gerard, Principal Scott Vance, Athletic Director Gus Linke, Coach Corey Bielema, and the captains of state champion Morrison. Please join the presenters on the awards platform. Mr. Boyd and Mr. Quaid will present a special medallion to the school administrators and individual awards to Coach Bielema and his team captains.
Sit out a couple of weeks wrestling now. I'm hurt. I broke my thumb. Congratulations. I'm going to put Williams on you. Oh, yeah. Congratulations. Congratulations. Thank you.
And now Mr. Boyd will present this year's state championship Class 2A team trophy to the Mustangs of Morrison, who finished the season with a final record of 13 wins and 1 loss.
Bring it to him. Hold it up, hold it up, hold it up.
Fans, that concludes the awards presentation for the Class 2A championship game. The Illinois High School Association thanks you for joining your team here at Memorial Stadium and hopes you have enjoyed your visit to the University of Illinois.
Pure jubilation as the Morrison Mustangs hoist their 2A state championship trophy, their second state title in the last 3 years, as they beat Casey Westfield to claim our second state championship of the day. It's a very storied program there in Morrison. You know, all the fans gathered down here in the end zone, so proud of their Mustang football team, as well they should be. Let's toss things back up to Jack and Lee to wrap us up from our 2A state title game.
All right, Aaron, thank you very much. Yeah, Jack, you look at the guys in the purple and black and gold, and you think of all the effort they put in from their entire careers, summers, weight room, and you can understand the heartbreak on that side.
Well, the heartbreak is going to be temporary. Next week, they'll realize that it took an awful lot to get here, and that they did a great job. They had a great season, and all those workouts during the winter and the summer were not for naught. You can't do all that. In order to win the state championship game, you've got to get here. And that's exactly what they did, and they gave it their best shot.
And Corey Bielema and the Morrison Mustangs, what a program they have. Second state title since 2009. Several of those seniors were here as sophomores a couple of years ago and were state champions then as well. Morrison got things going here with the first score of the ball game. We go back to the first half, and it's a little pitch to the right side. Martin McDonald, a 3-yard run, and it was Morrison on top early. Heath Husengay with the long pass to Blankenship down the left side. That set up a Husengay 1-yard dive on the third try. That one was on third down to tie the game. Danny Willis, 2-yard touchdown run. He had a couple of touchdowns today, and that gave Morrison the lead. But here come the Warriors back again. Chase Elder, who had to step up for the injured Ajay Meeks. He had a nice ball game. He ties the ball game with that touchdown run. Then in the third quarter, it was Dennehy to Willis for a 20-yard touchdown strike. The extra point was no good. It was 20-14. You think, well, maybe that extra point might hang in the balance. A couple of chances for KZ Westfield. That misfire, and then another Husengay misfire here as it was picked off by Shaver. And Morrison took it and scored on that drive and sealed the win. They got a field goal, and they win 23-14. Jack, let's take a look at our final stats from today's ball game.
Well, very impressive on one side of the counter, but not so much on the other side. The game was actually closer than the score, and I give a lot of credit to both football teams. They played hard-nosed right up until the final gun went off, and that's the way you expect high school football teams to do when you're playing in a state championship football game.
And KZ Westfield just unable to get it going here today against Morrison. Congratulations to both squads on great seasons for making it here. Congratulations to Corey Bielema and the state champion Morrison Mustangs. Jack McInerney, always a pleasure.
It was fun. I hope the next 6 games this weekend will be as good as the first 2.
All right, good luck to you tomorrow night. And we've got 3A state championship football coming your way a little bit later. We'll hear from Corey Bielema, head coach of the Morrison Mustangs, the state champions in 2A, when we come back on the IHSA TV network.
We are back at Memorial Stadium in Champaign, just minutes away from kickoff of our Class 3A state championship game between Aurora Christian and Mount Carmel. But we're not done talking about that 2A game we just saw as Morrison defeated KZ Westfield. Let's send things up to the post-game press conference and listen to the state runner-up KZ Westfield Warriors.
Well, I thought it was a very good ball game, and I think our overall in the first half we played real well. Colin had some good returns for us, give us great field position, and we were able to continue to score. I think in the second half we found a lot of open areas in their pass defense, but wasn't able to utilize those opens, and I think their defense did a great job of stopping our running game. I won't make excuses and losing Ajay Meeks in the first series because that's not fair. Morrison beat us and they deserve all the credit in the world. I think this year our team has overcome so many obstacles. It's totally unbelievable. A lot of our starters were out 1 to 6 weeks all year long, and we lost some great football players permanently. And for them to make it to the state finals and have the opportunity to win like they did, I think is a great accomplishment to them and the dedication they have.
Questions?
Well, I think they did a great job of strength-wise. They looked like a bunch of wrestlers, and they were strong. We were strong too. But overall, we could get some advantages at times and get it in the end zone at times, but yet when they could get a stretch of a couple plays on us in a row, it kind of put us in those third and long situations. And as the game progressed, we went to the air when we had to win behind us a little more, made some nice passes at times, and we didn't at others necessarily. But I just think overall they're a great football team. They got a lot of strength and definitely a lot of speed for their size.
So KZ Westfield head coach Keith Sinclair obviously and understandably disappointed that his team did not come out here with the championship, but a lot to be proud of for his Warriors team. For more post-game press conference, you can check it out at IHSA.org. We're going to be right back after this to get you set for kickoff of the 3A state championship here on the IHSA Television Network. Welcome back. I'm here with our 2A state champion head coach Corey Bielema of the Morrison Mustangs. Coach, you play all season to reach this game and to win this game and hoist that trophy. How's it feel now that you've made it happen?
Oh, it feels fantastic. And this was an effort that goes back even farther from just this season. We had such a big group of seniors returning from a team that had some high expectations even last year. We were a little bit young. We fell a little bit short, but they really took that to heart, worked very hard, and had some hurdles and some hiccups along the way as we played this season. But like I said, when we play mistake-free football, we're a very good team, and we were able to do that in the second half today.
I don't think the 14 points that you allowed was indicative of how well the defense played for you guys today, really holding a very powerful KZ Westfield offense in check. How'd you guys do it?
Well, like I said, they're huge, and they're coming after you, and that's what they're doing. And we knew we were going to have to stay in there and battle with them and such. We're just hoping our quickness could penetrate a gap or something and cause some havoc, get it back to have to stutter step, and we can rally to the ball. And I think for the most part we did that. We put ourselves in some bad situations with our special teams play, which gave them short fields, and a team of Casey's caliber, they're going to take an opportunity and put it to points, and that's exactly what they did when we did that.
Coach, thanks a lot. Congratulations. Go celebrate. Corey Bielema, the 2A state champion Morrison Mustangs. They are your state champs. We are back right after this on the IHSA Television Network.